Welcome to Big Sky Mysteries for a new story entitled Pokemon Haunting by MythologyLovesHorror. If you like terrifying tales and have not done so already, please hit that subscribe button along with the notification bell so you make sure not to miss a single scare. Now, enjoy. Pokemon Haunting by MythologyLovesHorror. Since I was 5 years old, I've been a fan of the Pokemon games, even to the point where I once had a dog named Growlithe and a cat named Espeon. I've played every iteration of the game, and I can beat any of them even if I'm running a Nuzlocke challenge. Pokemon was my favorite pastime until about a month ago. I was replaying Blue for about the 15th time after work one day, and I had just gotten to Lavender Town. The creepy music always unsettled me, and I like to get out of the town as quickly as possible once I deal with the tower and find the Slithscope. I needed to meet up with a friend soon for drinks, so I saved the game and shut my Game Boy off. A few days later, I was playing Fortnite Save the World when the Lavender Town music came on. I was focused on getting a specific kill when my headphones were bombarded with static-filled music, and it caused an instant headache. The noise blared over my PS4, and hearing the jarring notes were so painfully loud that I screamed. Even through the buzzing in my ears, I recognized the tune, and it made no sense. Fortnite had music, sure, but nothing like the melancholy notes that most people born in the 90s are familiar with. I shut the console off immediately, taking the headphones off so fast that I ripped a few strands of hair out of my head. There was no other sound in my apartment. A piece of me had tried to rationalize that maybe, in some weird domino effect, I had accidentally turned my Game Boy on and the music was stemming from that. I reasoned that this explanation would make perfect sense, mainly because I knew that I had saved my game in that exact town earlier in the week. However, I also knew that my Game Boy was in my nightstand, which was nowhere near my PS4. Additionally, I was aware that even had I somehow managed to turn it on, the music wouldn't have been able to project through my headphones without being plugged into the device. None of it made sense. But just to be sure, I rifled through my bedside drawer until I found the Game Boy. Not only was it turned off, the batteries were completely dead. I nervously thrust the machine back in my nightstand, making a beeline for the bathroom so I could take some Advil. Maybe I was just getting sick, and the illness was causing some sort of disorienting side effect. Or else it could just be my brain tweaking out from playing too many video games. I let the whole odd episode go after another 20 minutes, chalking it up to being overly tired and stressed due to working a double the day before. I couldn't keep dwelling on it because I knew it would drive me crazy if I kept focusing on the strange musical outburst. That night, I even dreamed about the music, and I swear that I woke up once and was actually hearing it. Things just got worse as the weeks went on. I didn't touch my Game Boy again, and I even let my younger cousin borrow it for a while so that it was out of my apartment. I almost thought that things were getting better until last night. On Halloween night, I woke up in the middle of a dream, quickly realizing that the Lavender Town theme was what had woke me when it trickled into my subconscious. I blinked slowly, my brain taking a moment to register that I wasn't actually dreaming, and then I jolted up in surprise. My hands were covered in blood, and it took me 15 minutes of frantically checking my body for me to realize the dried, crimson fluid wasn't mine. I was shaking so hard that I could barely walk, but I journeyed from my bedroom and crossed the living room to get to the kitchen sink. I had just finished washing my hands, my heart still pounding with fear, when I heard a noise outside. I couldn't tell what the sound was, so I cautiously tiptoed over to the veranda doorway and shakily peered out the curtain. In the dim moonlight, I could see something whitish outside, but I couldn't figure out what it was because it was partially obscured by a patio chair. I flicked on the porch lights, a scream ripping from my throat as I saw a monster staring at me over the arm of the chair. It looked like a skeleton, but I hadn't decorated my house at all this year. Almost as soon as the scream left me, I calmed down, realizing that it was just my neighbor Jill's dog, Snooky. I collapsed against the door frame, half crying and half laughing. After a moment, I slid the glass door open, shaking my head at the goofy golden lab who was staring intensely at me. "Hey, Snooks. Damn, you scared me." It wasn't unusual for Jill to dress him up in weird costumes on Halloween, and I was annoyed at myself for thinking that this was anything other than a dog in a mask. Everything was fine, and I had probably gotten the blood on my hands when I was helping my mom decorate her house earlier. She had put some fake blood all over a scarecrow, and I must have just gotten some on me without noticing. I laughed at the absurdity of it all. I had been so wrapped up in my anxiety and work that I let the hilarity of Halloween cloud my logical thinking. I called again to Snooky, finding it weird that he hadn't moved yet. "You okay, boy?" He let out a little whimper, and I realized that was the noise that drew me out here in the first place. I went over to him, holding my palm out in the usual friendly greeting. By now, he should have been jumping all over me, barking and wagging his tail playfully. Instead, he just sat there. As I approached the chair, he tried to move away from me, but he seemed to be held in place somehow. I got right up to him and saw a kitchen knife impaling his shoulder and pinning him to the arm of the chair. I took the mask off of him, and before he could wiggle around, I wrenched the knife out of his shoulder. He let out a yelp that broke my heart, and as I tried to stop the bleeding with my nightgown, I saw something else. Carved into his chest, right below his sternum, was the word Marowak. There were blood spots all over the porch behind Snooky, and I nearly vomited as I came to the sickening conclusion that what had been on my hands hadn't been fake. At some point in my sleep, I had assaulted my neighbor's lovable dog with a knife and carved the name of the dead Pokemon in the Lavender Town Tower into his chest. What in the hell is that video game music doing to me? Thanks again for joining me for this new paranormal tale by Mythology Loves Horror. And a special shout out to all my current subscribers and my new subscribers and everyone listening. Did you enjoy this episode? If so, and you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to know when the latest horror is available. Want to hear your true or fictional scary story narrated by me on this channel? Check the description below for more details. I'll see you in your nightmares. Good night.